It is February 20th, 2026, at an undisclosed location in the Middle East, where tension is rising to extremely dangerous levels today. More than 120 American combat aircraft have landed in the region within the past 72 hours, creating a massive and formidable presence. This represents the largest surge of United States air power in the Middle East since the 2003 Iraq War began, long ago. F-22 Raptors, F-35 Lightning IIs, F-15E Strike Eagles, and F-16 Fighting Falcons are now ready for immediate combat operations in this area. These lethal machines are supported by E-3 Sentry AWACS command aircraft, cargo planes, and massive aerial refueling tankers crossing the vast Atlantic. Military experts confirm this is not a routine rotation, but a massive surge designed to project overwhelming power across the entire region. Flight tracking data shows many departures from bases across the United States and Europe, indicating a sustained and very deliberate military move. Meanwhile, satellite imagery confirms that the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group is already operating in the strategic and vital Arabian Sea. The powerful fleet is positioned off the coast of Oman, placing it within the direct strike range of many sensitive Iranian targets. The USS Gerald R. Ford, fresh from operations in the Caribbean, is currently steaming east across the Atlantic toward the Middle East. Its last known position was off the coast of Morocco, as two carrier strike groups prepare to converge for a major operation. Over 120 advanced aircraft, guided missile destroyers, and Tomahawk cruise missiles are all in place for whatever orders come from the president. Air defense batteries and command and control systems have been fully activated, making the entire military machine ready for a potential conflict. In the heart of Washington, President Trump just set the clock, telling the world that the time for waiting is finally over. He recently stated that we may have to take it a step further, or perhaps we may not, depending on the circumstances. People will be finding out the truth over the next 10 days, as the countdown for this high-stakes diplomatic game has officially begun. The military is fully ready for any outcome, because this is exactly what happens when traditional diplomacy finally runs out of time. This intense ultimatum did not come out of nowhere, as negotiations between the United States and Iran have dragged on for months. Talks in Geneva, which were mediated by the nation of Oman, focused heavily on one critical issue: the controversial Iranian nuclear program. The Trump administration wants Iran to stop enriching uranium, dismantle its stockpile, and accept international inspections to ensure total transparency and peace. They want a permanent guarantee that Iran will never develop nuclear weapons. But the response from Tehran has been a firm refusal. Tehran insists its nuclear program is for peaceful energy purposes, not for the creation of any devastating nuclear weapons today. They refuse to halt uranium enrichment activities, and they reject any deal that does not include lifting heavy economic sanctions. These long and difficult talks have gone nowhere, as both sides remain firmly entrenched in their opposing strategic military positions. On February 20th, President Trump's patience finally ran out, as he stood before reporters to deliver a very chilling message. He stated that we may have to take it a step further, or maybe we might not do that at all. He told the world that they would be finding out the truth over the next 10-day deadline, starting right now. This short time frame has put the entire international community on high alert, watching for any signs of a military strike. The president paused for a long moment, and then added that Iran simply cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. His logic is very simple, because there can be no lasting peace in the Middle East if Iran possesses such power. The translation of this message is clear, because Iran must either agree to U.S. terms or face a military strike. Diplomats are working frantically behind the scenes to find a solution before the 10-day clock finally reaches its 0 hour. However, the rhetoric coming from Tehran suggests that they are not intimidated by the massive buildup of American military forces. Iranian leaders believe that the United States is using these threats as a form of extreme psychological warfare and political pressure. They have vowed to protect their national sovereignty and continue their scientific research regardless of the consequences from the West. This creates a dangerous stalemate where neither side is willing to blink first, increasing the risk of an accidental war. Washington is demanding total surrender of the nuclear program, while Tehran is demanding an immediate end to all economic misery. The gap between these two positions is so wide that many analysts believe a peaceful resolution is now virtually impossible. As the hours pass, the sound of jet engines in the Middle East serves as a constant reminder of the stakes. Every day that passes without a diplomatic breakthrough brings the world closer to a conflict that could change everything forever. The international oil markets are already reacting to the news, with prices fluctuating wildly as the 10-day deadline rapidly approaches. Global leaders are calling for restraint, but the gears of war appear to be turning with an unstoppable momentum today. We are witnessing a historic moment where the future of the entire region hangs in a very delicate and uncertain balance. This is not the first time that President Trump has ordered direct and decisive military action against the nation of Iran. Last June, during a short but very intense 12-day conflict, the president authorized the highly secretive Operation Midnight Hammer. 7 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, which were escorted by advanced F-35s and F-22s, struck 3 major Iranian nuclear facilities simultaneously. The targets included the strategic sites of Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, which were heavily defended by multiple layers of security. Powerful bunker-busting bombs weighing 30,000 pounds each were dropped to penetrate very deep into the heavily fortified underground complexes. These massive strikes completely obliterated several key enrichment sites, causing significant damage to the entire core of Iran's nuclear infrastructure. According to official reports from Trump, Iran retaliated by launching ballistic missiles toward the Al Udeid airbase located in Qatar. As the largest American military installation in the entire Middle East, this base was a primary target for Iranian forces. Qatari air defenses were able to intercept most of the incoming missiles, and fortunately, there were no American casualties reported. Although the conflict ended after 12 days, the Iranian nuclear program was far from being completely destroyed or fully stopped. Recent satellite imagery from late January 2026 shows that Iran has been working very hard to rebuild its facilities. Thick concrete shields have been poured over the damaged buildings, and tunnel entrances have been deeply buried and heavily fortified. Missile bases that were damaged during the June strikes have been fully repaired and are now ready for another round. Iran clearly learned many valuable lessons from the previous strikes, and they are now preparing themselves for the next confrontation. The speed and scale of this reconstruction effort are truly staggering, showing the world that Iran will not easily surrender. Military analysts believe that the new fortifications are much stronger than before, making future strikes even more difficult to execute. The underground nature of these facilities means that even the most powerful bombs might struggle to reach the vital components. This resilience is exactly why the current military buildup by the United States is so much larger than previous efforts. Washington knows that they cannot afford a partial success if they decide to launch another wave of airstrikes today. Every detail of the previous operation is being studied to ensure that the next one will be even more effective. The shadow of Operation Midnight Hammer hangs heavy over the region as both nations prepare for a potential repeat performance. We are now seeing a cycle of destruction and rebuilding that could eventually lead to a much larger regional war. The stakes have never been higher, and the lessons of the past are guiding the strategies of the immediate future. The current military buildup in the Middle East is truly staggering, featuring some of the most advanced combat aircraft ever created. Retired Marine Colonel Mark Kanian recently told reporters that the United States is doing everything necessary for a major aerial attack. The deployment includes the elite F-22 Raptors, which are air superiority fighters designed to dominate the skies and eliminate enemy jets. These incredible machines use advanced stealth technology that makes them nearly invisible to enemy radar systems during high-stakes combat missions. Their unique supercruise capability allows them to fly at supersonic speeds without using fuel-hungry afterburners, increasing their overall combat range. If a conflict begins, their primary job will be to clear the airspace of any Iranian jets attempting to intercept strike. We also see the F-35 Lightning II, a 5th-generation stealth fighter with advanced sensors and unparalleled radar evading capabilities today. During the previous Operation Midnight Hammer, these jets successfully suppressed Iranian air defenses, clearing a safe path for the heavy bombers. They will likely perform the exact same critical job again if the order to strike is given by the American president. Joining them are the F-15E Strike Eagles, which are powerful twin-engine bombers capable of carrying over 23,000 pounds. These rugged aircraft can carry precision-guided munitions, heavy bunker busters, and long-range missiles for deep strikes inside hostile territory. They have the incredible ability to hit targets deep inside Iran and then fight their way back out against enemy interceptors. Supporting the strike package are the F-16 Fighting Falcons, which provide close air support and defensive coverage for the entire fleet. The E-3 Sentry AWACS aircraft act as airborne command and control platforms, featuring massive rotating radar domes mounted on their fuselage. These specialized planes can track hundreds of different targets simultaneously while coordinating complex strike packages from 30,000 feet above ground. However, none of these advanced combat aircraft could reach their distant targets without the support of the massive aerial refueling tankers. KC-135 and KC-46 tankers have been crossing the Atlantic in waves to keep the fighter jets airborne for extended periods. Flight tracking data reveals that these tankers are extending the range of the entire strike group, ensuring they return home safely. This represents the largest concentration of American air power seen in the Middle East in more than 2 decades of history. The coordination required to manage hundreds of aircraft in such a tight space is a testament to modern military logistics today. Every pilot and crew member knows that the precision of their technology will be the deciding factor in any upcoming battle. As the sun sets over the desert, the roar of these powerful engines reminds everyone that the hammer is ready. One of the most critical questions remains where the heavy American bombers will launch from if the order is given. Diego Garcia is a tiny and remote coral atoll located in the middle of the vast and deep Indian Ocean. This island serves as a vital joint military base for both the United States and the United Kingdom forces. Its massive 12,000-foot runway is capable of handling the heaviest and most powerful bombers in the American arsenal. This includes the B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, the B-52 Stratofortresses, and the very fast B-1 Lancer strategic strike aircraft. Diego Garcia is considered the perfect staging point for any potential military strikes against the nation of Iran right now. It is close enough to reach strategic targets, yet far enough to remain safe from any immediate Iranian military retaliation. However, there is a significant diplomatic problem, because Diego Garcia is officially recognized as a British overseas sovereign territory. The United Kingdom leases this base to the United States under a very specific and long-standing defense cooperation agreement. This agreement strictly requires the United States to obtain British approval before conducting any major offensive military combat operations. In a surprising move, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has recently said no to the use of this facility. Reports in the British media suggest that Starmer refused the use of Diego Garcia or RAF Fairford for these strikes. He informed President Trump that using British territory for such an attack would violate international laws and established global norms. President Trump did not take this news well and immediately expressed his anger through several very public social media statements. He withdrew American support for the plan to transfer sovereignty of the Chagos Islands from Britain to the nation of Mauritius. On February 19th, Trump posted a strong warning on Truth Social, telling the British government not to give away the base. He argued that this strategic base is absolutely essential for any future operation intended to counter the rising Iranian threat. This heated dispute has placed the United Kingdom in a very awkward and difficult position between 2 major global powers. London is currently trying to balance its alliance with Washington against its legal commitments to the international community and laws. For the Pentagon, the strategic message is clear that if Diego Garcia is restricted, they must find alternative launch sites. Other potential options include the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar or various military bases throughout the United Arab Emirates region. They could also modify the strike package to launch more aircraft directly from the decks of the massive carrier groups. On February 19th, Tehran announced that they would be conducting joint naval exercises with Russia in the Sea of Oman today. These major drills began immediately as Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov issued a very stern and direct warning to Washington. He stated that any American military strike on Iran would have serious repercussions, although he did not elaborate on specifics. The implication was clear to everyone involved because Russia is watching the unfolding situation in the Middle East very closely. Iran also issued a notice to airmen regarding rocket launchers and live fire drills occurring over parts of southern Iran. They temporarily closed parts of the Strait of Hormuz, which is one of the most strategically vital shipping routes worldwide. Over 20% of global oil supplies pass through this narrow waterway every single day to reach the international markets. Even a temporary closure of this strait sends a powerful message that Iran controls the main access to the Persian Gulf. If a full-scale war breaks out, this geographic control becomes a lethal weapon weapon against the global economy and energy supplies. Satellite images from late January show that Iran has been fortifying key military sites, like the Parchin complex, with concrete shields. They have covered new facilities with thick soil to protect them from the impact of advanced American bunker-busting bombs today. At the Fordow nuclear site, Iran has buried tunnel entrances and fortified access points to ensure their assets remain safe underground. Analysts believe that critical nuclear assets have been moved deeper underground, where they are much harder to target and destroy effectively. Professor Vali Nasser warned that the Iranians have rebuilt in a very stealthy way over the past 6 months of time. He believes their response will be highly unpredictable and could involve hitting an oil facility or an American naval ship soon. Iran's defensive strategy is multi-layered, featuring mines, anti-ship missiles, and submarines patrolling the waters of the Persian Gulf daily. Their primary goal is not to defeat the United States military, but to slow them down and inflict many heavy casualties. They want to create massive political pressure for Washington to back off by making the cost of war far too high. On February 17th, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei posted an AI-generated image showing the USS Abraham Lincoln next to a dark gravestone. This psychological warfare reflects their strategy to retaliate against U.S. bases and allies if any strikes occur in the coming days. The Iranian leadership is making it very clear that they will not sit idle while their sovereign territory is being attacked. Both sides are now fully prepared for a confrontation that could spiral out of control and devastate the entire Middle East. As the 10-day deadline rapidly approaches, the entire world is watching the Middle East with a sense of extreme anxiety. The parallels to the recent events in Venezuela are impossible to ignore because the military patterns are becoming very familiar today. In late 2025, a similar buildup occurred in the Caribbean before the dramatic raid that captured President Maduro in January. However, military experts like Mark Kanian warn that Iran is not Venezuela, and a ground raid is highly unlikely right now. Iran's vast geography and heavily fortified defenses suggest that any American action would likely focus on long-range missile strikes instead. Targets would include the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and nuclear facilities that have been moved deep into the dark underground tunnels. The ultimate dilemma for President Trump is whether to order a limited strike or escalate to a full-scale regional war. A limited strike might not destroy the program, while a massive strike could trigger a chaotic and very violent retaliation effort. Trump has stated that he prefers diplomacy, but he has also proven that he is willing to use the hammer. History might be about to repeat itself as the clock continues to tick toward a potentially world-changing moment very soon. If you were advising the president today, what would you recommend he do in this incredibly dangerous and complex global situation? Should he strike now while he has the advantage? Or should he give diplomacy one last chance to avoid a war? Please share your thoughts in the comments below, because your perspective on these global military developments is very important to us. The countdown is running, the tension is extreme, and the next few days will determine the future of the entire world. If you found this detailed analysis helpful, please remember to hit like and subscribe to The Navy Show for real-time coverage. Our community is growing every day, and your support helps us bring these important military stories to the surface for everyone. Thank you for watching this special report, and we will see you very soon in the next important video update here.